All right, so today is the, still in Chapter 2. This is day 5 of the Chapter 2 notes. We are talking about the distributive property today. So if you look in your book, it's from section 2.5. The notes are going to start on the front page of your packet in the little table with all the properties. Okay, everybody see that? So what you are going to do is write, well, this is what's in the box, correct? Okay, so the distributive property says that if you have a number multiplied by a set of parentheses with addition or subtraction on the inside, you can just multiply each term, thank you, by the number that's out front. So for example, here we have A times, and in parentheses, B plus C. That's the same thing as A plus B, or not, A times B plus A times C, okay? Same thing if it's minus. You can do A times B minus A times C. It works from the back too. Just distribute to the front, distribute again. This is already in the box on the front of your notes, correct? You can add this for the example over to the right. So this is 2 times, and then in parentheses, 3x plus 4. So when we do this, we do 2 times 3x plus 2 times 4, which gives us 6x plus 8. A lot of students will mistakenly then go ahead and add these. They're not like terms. If they weren't like terms here, they're not going to be like terms down here. Okay? Do you guys have any questions? Now, this is actually also the first example when you turn the distributing page. So you're actually going to write this one twice. So now go to the distributing page, and there's a space for example A. Go for it. You don't need to rewrite this in the distributive section at the top. You can if you want, but it's already in your notes packet for you. But there is a space if you want to. Go for it. If not, just get this down for example A. As you're writing it a second time, do you have any questions? That way it's right in with your distributing section, and it's right up front with all the rest of your properties too. So here's example B. For today we have 2 and then times in parentheses 6x minus 9y. A lot of times you'll hear people say 2 times the quantity, and then they say what's in here. The quantity just means it's in parentheses. So the way I do this is I am going to keep the sign with this guy in the middle, keep the sign with the second term in the back. Okay, that's just how I'm going to write it every time. So this is 2 times 6x. The 2 is positive, so I'm going to think of it as a plus, and then a negative 9y. Well, 2 times 6x is 12x. And then in the back, I have a plus negative. Well, plus a negative is just a minus 18y. Do you have any questions? All right, here's part C. All right, on this next one, I have negative 6 times the quantity y plus 7. So I'm going to distribute the negative 6. So that's negative 6 times y and negative 6 times 7. Anyone know what that will give us? Yes, ma'am.
Negative 6y minus 42.
Very good. What are your questions? Careful on this one. This is one where the signs start to get a little confusing because you'll end up with some double signs. But we're doing it the same way. So we are taking the negative 3 times the 4x and the negative 3 times the negative 12y. Anyone know what that will give me? Yes, sir.
Negative 12x
Very good. Questions? All right, negative the quantity m minus n. What's that negative out front? Anyone remember?
1.
It's like a negative 1. Yeah, so you can think of this as negative 1 times m and negative 1 times negative n. All right, now just clean things up a little bit. We use the negative 1 sort of along the way in our work, but we usually don't leave them in our answers. So take it back to just negative m, and then you'd have minus negative n, which we're going to clean up to be a plus n. Questions? All right. All right, so careful on this one. We don't distribute the 5n, and you can't add the 5n and the 7 because they're not like terms. Those are kind of the biggest mistakes I would see on this one. What we're going to distribute is the 7 because that's what's touching the parentheses. That's what's being multiplied by this quantity. So the 5n in the front stays 5n. Then I'm going to do positive 7 times n and positive 7 times negative 3. All right, when you clean things up, pay close attention to your signs right here. You'll have plus negative 21, which I'm just writing as a minus 21. And then 5n plus 7n is 12n. Those are like terms. We are all the way to example M, so settle in. Here's the same type of problem. So first we have to distribute that 4, and then we'll have some like terms. So what's the next step going to look like? Yes, ma'am. You are one step ahead of me. Yes. So after you distribute the 4, you're looking at 28 plus 4b minus 2b, but those b's in the back are like terms. And you end up with 28 plus 2b. Now on tomorrow's, when we're checking the answer key, a lot of times on these, it's just kind of a habit of mine to rewrite it in alphabetical order. So if you would see 2b plus 28, that's the same thing, okay? We're using the commutative property on that. But just be aware of that. If you're checking with a friend, maybe comparing answers, and they have 2b plus 28 and you have 28 plus 2b, same thing. Just kind of depends on how much you want to clean it up. Questions? Now it's getting real fun. All right, any ideas? Yes.
Multiply. First you would do the 9 times x plus 2y, which gets you 9x plus 18y, and then you would go to the other side.
Yes, so we have to distribute the 9 up front, and you can distribute the 4 in the back, and you can do it all at the same time. So when we clean that up, we're left with 9x plus 18y plus 4x minus 12y. Am I done? No, I have like terms. So what am I going to do? What is it?
9 and 4.
Yeah, the 9 and the 4, the x's go together. And the 18y and the 12y? Good. What'd you end up with? Or do you have a question?
I was gonna. Oh wait, no, never mind.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right, anyone else? Yeah, what'd you end up with?
13x minus 6y.
Oh, careful.
Negative 6y. Plus 6y.
Nope, so this is just, you're so close, you're just off by 1 sign. This is just a minus 12y from the 18y. You have more positive y's than negative y's. So 18 minus 12 is just plus 6. That is a common thing I see, though, on these. After so many steps and so many, like, switching with the negatives, you just kind of lose it right at the end. So make sure you keep up with those. And then you can always go back and sort of check from the beginning. Like 9 and 2 would be 18, 4 and 3, but this is a minus, and then sort of just double check yourself. Questions? All right, here's example I. All right, so I need to distribute what? The 2, very good. Leave the 7 alone. 7 plus is fine up front. It's going to be 2 times x and 2 times the negative 3. That leaves you with this. What can I do? What?
7 minus 6.
Yeah, 7 minus 6, those are like terms. Good. And 7 minus 6 is just positive 1. This is one of those where a lot of people might have 1 plus 2x, and you have 2x plus 1. Same thing. Don't forget those properties for addition. Questions? All right, same process. Now there's 3 terms in the parentheses. All right. So I'm going to do 15 times 3x plus 15 times negative 2y plus 15 times negative 1. And when you get good at this, you might not need that middle step, but since we're just, I like to say learning it, but most of you, this is a review. Since we're just reviewing it, I am going to write that step out. But if that's not something you need to write out, I understand that. Just make sure you're not skipping steps that you need. All right, anyone have the final answer? Yes.
45x minus 30y minus 15.
I agree. What are your questions? All right, here's K. All right, what am I distributing on this one? The -3. Do not drop the negative. That's the biggest mistake here. This is a -3. So I am doing 5r, didn't touch the 5r. -3 times 2r. -3 times -9, or -3 times -9. Minus and negative are sort of interchangeable here. All right, so that's going to give me 5r, and then in the middle, that whole term is being subtracted. It's negative 6r, and then back here I had minus a negative, so that's going to be plus 27. Any questions on the signs here? So we're doing so many examples because there's just so many different ways the signs can work out. All right, and then you can see the like terms of the r's up front. What's 5r minus 6r? -1r, or you can just write -r. Good. All right. Here is one as you're writing it. Keep in mind that the order of operations tells us to start in the innermost set of parentheses. So just work your way out. These are not like terms, so don't do anything. All right, now we're out to the brackets. What can you do inside of there? What can you do inside of there? What's this whole lesson about today? Yes. The what?
The negative.
Oh, the -4. I thought you just said 4. Yes, so what we're going to do is distribute the -4 inside the parentheses. Leave this negative alone. Leave the brackets alone. We are just simplifying what's inside the brackets by distributing the -4 to the x and to the -y. Clean it up. You'll have some signs in the middle that work out nice and neat to give you a plus sign. Now what am I going to do? Yes. Multiply by -1. Good. You're going to distribute that negative. So here we have negative, which is positive, and then minus 4y. Are those like terms?
No.
They are not. For some reason, a few of you tried to do that on the quiz. When the coefficients were the same, like they magically became like terms. That doesn't happen, okay? You're looking for same variable, same exponent. All right, you ready for the final example?
No.
Ooh. All right, so this is a good one because we have lots of signs, right? We're just going to distribute two negatives. The first negative we're distributing is the -4 to these two terms. Then we're going to distribute a -8 to these two terms. So your next line would look something like this. Any questions yet? Clean things up. -4 times 4m is going to be -16m. And then 2 negatives is going to give us a plus 8n. And then negative times a positive is going to give us a minus 16m. And then back in the back, 1 negative gives us a minus 8n. Now, what are my like terms? Yeah, -16m minus 16m. What does that give me? -32m. Good. Now, what happens to my n's? They go away. 8n minus 8n is 0n. You don't write plus 0 on the end of a problem.
Really?
You do not. Like if the answer was 3, you wouldn't write like 3 plus 0, right? That'd be silly. So just leave this negative 32m. Any questions? Hold on, don't put your notes away yet. We got to summarize these. So what did we learn today?
Nothing.
The distributive property. Good.
We reviewed it.
You can change it to reviewed. Good.
You don't have to.
Exactly.
The distributive property. Good. And then finish that up if you're still confused about anything, and then write yourself a sample test question that you can go back and study later. Any questions?